Have you ever told someone what to do only to have them push back, maybe resist, and maybe even completely disengage because you were telling them what to do? It's likely not because they're difficult. It's because people naturally resist to being told what to do. I have found this to be true on my leadership journey. So today on the Champion Forum podcast, we're going to discuss why people don't like being told what to do and how leaders can shift from directive to collaborative in their approach.
This is the Champion Forum podcast with Jeff Hancher, the forum for leaders, champions, and dreamers.
In my very first book that is being released June 17th of 2025, I spent some time diving into this topic because I got to tell you, when I look back here on my journey, I have found this specific topic that we're discussing today to be an area that most leaders, they just don't do well. And I was one of those leaders at one point as well. The reality is that most leaders have never been told how to do this well. What are we talking about? We're talking about a collaborative approach. A lot of times what leaders will do is they'll just be directive. They'll tell people what to do. They might start barking orders. And I don't think it's because the leader's malicious. It's because they're task oriented. They're trying to get things done. They're results driven. There is a time for direct communication, but it's minimal. Direct communication, there's minimal place for this in leadership. A collaborative leadership approach is more times than not the best approach. And I know I already lost half the listeners because they have now defined me as soft and fluffy. They're telling me, Jeff, somebody interrupts me in a meeting, I'm going to tell them to get the heck out of my room and get out of my face. That's how I roll around here. I make heads roll. Well, suit yourself. I think what you're going to find, if that's your aggressive leadership style, that the time is ticking on your leadership effectiveness. Getting this right is absolutely critical for leaders who want to foster trust. They want to drive engagement and they want to drive innovation in their company. This is the way to do it. Doing it because I said so is rarely effective. It wasn't effective on us. It won't be effective on others. And I know some of us listening, that's how it was done to us. And it seemed to work. But just because you can doesn't mean that you should. And even if leaders do that and they're doing well, here's my question. How much better could you be? Simply put, people don't like being told what to do. I've never met anybody that did. I believe it's important to think about why people don't like being told what to do. And why this is important is because when you start having an understanding of this dynamic, it starts to shift in your mind so that you can maybe autocorrect something that you don't intend to do, but maybe it's happening. So why is it important to think about this and understand why people don't like being told what to do? Well, first off, when we tell people what to do, there's a loss of autonomy. People value independence and control over their own decisions. When you tell them what to do, they may feel like their autonomy is being stripped away from them. When you deliver a directive without input to people, they start to begin feeling like they're micromanaged. And show me a leader that micromanages people, and I'll show you a team that is disengaged. 100% of the time, this is going to happen. Now listen, I understand that there is a time that the leader has to call the play. The leader has to say, this is how we're doing it. I understand that, but remember, it should be rare. It should be an impending event, safety issues, onboarding of new employees, but it should not be the norm. The second thing that happens when you tell people what to do is there's some ego and identity here. Some ego and identity. People want to feel capable and respected. We don't want to question their identity. We don't want to, knock down their ego. Being told what to do can make them feel incompetent, maybe undervalued. This is especially true with tenured employees. An experienced employee likely feels undermined when a leader comes to them and starts dictating to them on how to complete a task that they've done for years. And I get it. Some of you are waiting on the edge of your seat to say, well, if we're not telling people what to do, how do we go about this, Jeff? Stay tight. We're going to get to that. But we got to get this understanding of what is going on for people when we are just telling them what to do. one thing I can guarantee you is going to happen is there's going to be a lack of buy-in. People resist instructions they don't fully understand, or even more so, instructions they don't agree with. Without any context, without any rationale, directives at best are arbitrary. Often when leaders do this, they aren't trying to be malicious. And if it's you listening today, I'm having this conversation because I want you to be better. I care. And I don't think you're a monster. I believe that you might just be so focused on the mission that sometimes you forget about people. Like when a leader changes a project's direction without explaining the reasoning, leaving the team frustrated and probably even resistant. I'm raising my hand. I've done this. I've changed direction without any dialogue, any diplomacy, any communication. We're not going this way anymore. We're going that way. We've all done it. We, the leader, we've already processed the decision, and we're just moving fast. But what happens sometimes is we forget how this is going to affect other people as well. So what are some steps that maybe we can take, that leaders can take to become more collaborative, which is the goal? We got to ask instead of tell. Well, I'm not asking nobody. I'm the person in charge. My name's on the door. Suit yourself. Do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? So this ask and tell is so important. So how do you go about doing this? Well, you phrase instructions as questions to involve others in the decision-making process. And I'm not saying that you're giving up control here completely. I'm not even saying that the other people are going to be making the decisions. What I am saying is that you're going to pull them into the process. So instead of, going up and saying, hey, Brad, change this report format, that would be a way of doing it. A small adjustment to that by saying, how can we make this report more streamlined, Brad? You see the difference here? This is a tell versus a collaborative. You're telling somebody what to do. You can tweak this just a little bit with a question and get the exact same result with higher engagement. Practice rephrasing your next directive into an open-ended question and watch the engagement go up. The second thing is, whenever we're talking about this dynamic of ask instead of tell, is provide context and purpose. Context and purpose. Explain the why behind a request to create alignment. Get some buy-in. So instead of, I need this done by Friday, Brad, say, Brad, if we complete this by Friday, we'll be ahead of schedule and we are going to impress our customer. See the difference here? I need this by Friday, telling people what to do. Or, if we complete this by Friday, we'll be ahead of schedule and we're going to impress our customer. Before giving a directive, take 30 seconds. Think about how to explain its importance. You see how in this last example, I didn't just tell Brad what to do. I let them know what the expectation was and the why behind it. When I do this, now it's purpose-driven. The next one is involve people in the problem solving. Make sure that you're encouraging your team to brainstorm solutions rather than just dictating actions to people. You don't want to just say, hey, everyone, we're facing a bottleneck in production. What ideas do you have to improve efficiency? See the difference here? We're facing a bottleneck in production. Okay, now you've just given me a problem. What ideas do you have to improve efficiency? This is a great way to include them in the problem solving. We can't just go out on the plant floor and say, we have a problem here. What we can say is, we do have a problem here. What do you have that could maybe help us? How can we improve? What are your thoughts? During your next team meeting, present a challenge. Think of any challenge that you have going on and ask for input before just suggesting your own ideas. When we start barking our own ideas, and look, your ideas are great, I'm sure of it. It's why you're the leader. But when we do this, what we're doing is we're getting that level of buy-in and we're not telling people what to do. The next one is to empower decision making. When possible, delegate decisions. Instead of follow this script for the presentation, Brad, you might say, What approach do you think will resonate best with the audience, Brad? See the difference here? Delegate decisions. I teach this often in sales as well when I have them do prospecting calls and close on the meeting. Hey, would you like to meet Friday at 1 o'clock, or would 3 o'clock be better for you? Now we're not telling the potential client what they're going to do. We're giving them an opportunity to make a decision. Alternatives. So don't just bark the order. Ask, what approach do you think will resonate best with the audience? Now I'm involving them in, and where I'm empowering decision making. Here's a few real world examples that will likely resonate with you, because I've been down this road many, many times, and I'm sure you have as well. Let's just say that you're implementing a new policy. You're going to roll out a new expense policy, and employees push back saying, you know what, boss, this is not necessary. Here's how a lot of times we see this scenario play out. You send the directive out. Follow the new policy, no exceptions. This is how it's going to be. A collaborative approach would be more like you hold a meeting, you explain the rationale. Hey, we're introducing this new policy to streamline reimbursements. What challenges do you all foresee, and how can we address them together? See the difference in this versus do it because I told you to. Here's another scenario that's maybe a team project. You assign roles for a new initiative, whatever it is that you're coming out with, but you never consult with the team, and it results in low engagement, which is almost a guarantee every time. How you might have gone about doing it in the past is, listen, I've already assigned tasks, just focus on your part. Because you know what happened. You didn't collaborate with the team. You just gave everybody assignments, and they don't agree with the assignments. They don't like their assignments. Maybe you even put them in the wrong assignments because somebody else would have been better at it. So they come to you and they start saying, this isn't working, boss. This isn't going to. I've already assigned tasks. Just focus on your part. Here's a collaborative approach. Hey, guys, look, here's the project scope. How do you think we can divide the work to play to everyone's strengths? You know how many headaches you're going to save yourself by going from directive approach to collaborative approach? It doesn't mean when you get people's feedback that you're going to do it. But here's what I know about my leadership journey. My journey has been full of blind spots, full of uh-ohs, and shouldn't have done it that ways. When we collaborate, the odds of us making a better decision are much greater. Not to mention, it's a great way to take an organization from compliant to engaged. We're not looking for a compliant culture. We're looking for an engaged culture. Listen, people don't resist direction because they're difficult. They resist because they want to feel valued, capable, and in control. Leadership is not about telling people what to do. It's about guiding them to achieve a shared vision between you and them. When you make the shift from commanding to collaborating, you will see tremendous lift in your results. Not just in performance either, but in trust, in engagement, and in morale. Be on the lookout for my book that will be launching in June of 2025. I can't wait to get it to you. As I'm going to take a deep dive into this book, and I'm going to share stories. I'm going to share action items that's going to equip you to have even greater leadership impact. But until then, stop telling people what to do and keep turning that pressure into potential.
The Champion Forum Podcast with Jeff Hancher. Lead, inspire, win.